Good evening, YouTube. This is the Atheist Chef. It's been a week, maybe? I don't know, since my last video. I have been really trying to read up on a lot of Christian literature, um, uh, the Bible, and a lot of Christian books. My mom had a lot of good apologetic books from um, when she was a believer. And interesting side note, my mom has just recently told me she has actually deconverted herself. She was a pretty staunch Christian. She's been saved since like '96. And shortly after my deconversion, I talked with her a lot. And she basically has been telling people that she no longer believes in the God of the Bible. And like, for those of you out there, that have Christian parents or whatever, it's an amazing feeling, because my mom was initially pissed when she first heard about my deconversion, and feared that I was going to hell. But man, when I eventually, just over time, the next few months, I was just laying stuff out that I was learning, and now I don't know if she's a deist, or she just doesn't believe, but she's definitely not a Christian anymore, and so that's, anyways. Okay, back to me. So I was reading all those books, really trying to give it the final, whatever, and as I was reading them, I was still just coming across the same problems, I was seeing the flaws, I was seeing the fallacies, I was seeing a lot of just problems, and so everything that I read, it didn't matter. So my brain was not shutting down. I tried to pray to, hey, make this obvious, something, make it so I can see how Christians are seeing this, otherwise, because if I'm continuing to see it as I see it now, then there's no way I can really deconvert. I can't just believe because whatever. So, and it didn't work. You can take that however you want. If you don't think I was sincere, well, I was. Whether you feel that I was or not, I really was. And so, I continued to watch videos, and I realized because there's two approaches to Christianity. There's the evidentialist approach, which is the likes of William Lane Craig and people like that, and then you have your presuppositionalist approach, which is people like Greg Bahnsen, and then of course you have I think how Alex Botten put it, the training wheels presuppositionalist, which is the Seitan Bruggencate, and people like that. So I first, really hit up the evidentialist approach and really try to understand, not just creationism, because I completely can't even follow creationism, but the more liberal Christians, but still trying to get a hold of like TAG, any of the cosmological, the Leibnizian and Kalams, and all these different, arguments. Just any, the good Christian arguments that are out there still. That I could find, and that Christians had, basically had said, here, these are the best ones. And so I tried reading just those, and of course, I've already heard of most of these, or, the cosmological arguments, even though they may be different, Leibnizian is different from Kalam's, but it still has those same flaws that, like, for example, making a big jump from a general vague creator God to the God of the Bible. Like it still had the same flaws of that jump, and then like, well, it could be Allah or any other God. It's stuff like that. So that wasn't working for me at all. Any of the historical arguments, I had seen the pros and cons to both sides already. So when I was hearing all the pros, in my head I was hearing all the cons. It just, I was stuck. Not stuck, but there was just no way. Wasn't going to happen. Wasn't, so the evidentialist arguments just not going to work. So I said, well, all right. let me go with the presup arguments and, try to really understand the best that I could from the better type of presup. And then, again, I'm not talking the Seitan Bruggencate, I'm talking like the Greg Bahnsen, and I can't remember the names right now. So after reading a lot of material and watching videos, and of course, anytime presup came out, all I really had was a lot of Seitan and then videos like that. And, they didn't really touch on a lot of the best stuff that Bahnsen and others had covered. So I said, well, okay, well, I got a better, pretty good understanding there. So let me see, the basically the popular presup. And I was reading it. I was already finding flaws with it. And then, of course, I came across Karen S.'s channel and Ozymandias, and I can't never remember his other part of the name of his channel, but we just call him Ozzy. This guy did an amazing breakdown of the presup argument, particularly on Seitan, Bruggencate, and better. And pretty much after that, it was like 3.5 hours long. And then getting in a chat with him, and he had broken it down even better. And it's a long story short, the presup argument fails, mostly on the Seitan kind. But overall, they still kind of fall under the same trappings, regardless if it's the training wheels kind or even the better kind, just in a much deeper level. And by the way, if you are a fan of Seitan, Bruggencate, and that level of presup, I invite you to really try to get into what the presuppositional argument really is saying, because Seitan and company completely have the juvenile version of the presup argument. It goes way more into depth, and it's a shame how, as I was watching Seitan and company talk, particularly Sai, how dishonest he had to be to make his points, twisting words around, straw mans, and stuff like that. And I looked at that and said, wow, how can this be the truth when he has to lie to portray it? And then to see fellow Christians, William Lane Craig, even, he's an evidentialist, just belittling the people of the Seitan, Bruggencates, and presuppositionalism is on its own right. And then I was watching a video with the Unconventional Pastor, which I'm assuming he's more of a liberal Christian. I've only seen a little bit of him. And he was able to just, pick apart Sai's, attempts and that script that he has put down. And of course, it was just a reminder of how Christians overall just can't agree. And, that there is no convergence on what the actual truth is. And there's no way to know who's actually telling the truth, because everybody thinks they have the same truth. You have your Sais and company that think it's, revealed by the Holy Spirit. And then you have more of liberal Christians that, just from better understanding of the Word and and the history and all that stuff. And nobody just knows. It's, and if they can't get their shit together, I have no reason to believe. I have no reason to accept any truth claim that they make. And it seems like at this point, the evidentialist approach is the only way that you can prove Christianity to be true, because the presuppositional argument does nothing to actually even attempt to prove the impossibility of the contrary. They spend their whole time trying to prove every other worldview wrong and not the Christian worldview as correct. And that's that's the evidentialist argument about why presup fails, because it can't prove anything right. It can't prove Christianity right. It can just try and show everybody else to be wrong. And so, being that the evidentialist approach fails, to me, on multiple levels, and then the presuppositionalist approach fails more, and even the evidentialists agree. Long story short, I have no reason that I should convert back to Christianity. So yeah, there you go. This is a very basic, simplistic of what's really been happening, and I don't think I'll ever really go into that much detail. But, safe to say, I'm still an atheist. And I think I'm actually probably more of an atheist than I was, because I actually did my best to suspend as much disbelief as humanly possible. And again, you may not agree with me by the way that I'm saying this now, but this little journey I had put myself through was very genuine, very honest. I truly did try to pray to God. I truly tried to understand. I tried to truly put on the biblical glasses, so to speak, and I couldn't get past it. I just couldn't. There was nothing, and of course God hasn't replied yet. So, as it stands, I'm still an atheist. So that is it, folks. I'm probably going to be back to doing, regular-ish videos pretty soon. But I've been doing kind of stuff lately, and just kind of sitting back a little bit. But I will see you guys soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Atheist Chef signing off. Peace.